Hello and welcome to the MHG podcast. As usual, life can be a little bit miserable and life can be a little bit dark. So we're here to bring you a little bit of joy and a little bit of light. I'm Brad, and unfortunately for everyone, unfortunately for him, every time someone presses play on one of our podcasts and you hear my voice, Stu's got to pay me 5p. How you doing, Stu?
Not bad. I owe you about 15p now then, yeah?
No, only one person's ever going to press play. Come on, you know
true.
that, Stu.
That's true. I think the PKX checker can cover that.
Yeah, Unity's a mess, innit?
Oh, yeah. Bloody hell. What's going on, man? Why did they do that?
No idea. It's... I can't even fathom it. Did in a boardroom somewhere, did someone go, right, this is going to be a really good idea. Everyone's going to go for this one. There's going to be no pushback whatsoever. Vicatello, why are you selling all your shares, mate?
I know, yeah. God.
Yeah. What they should have done, if you wanted to find out if this was going to be a good idea, was maybe leak a little bit of info about a price structure and see what the general reaction is, and then don't make an official announcement until you know what's going to happen there.
Yeah.
As someone said, it's like Fender guitars charging an artist every time they use a Fender guitar if someone buys an album. It's stupid. You're an engine.
Yeah, it's just a naked money grab kind of situation, isn't it?
Yeah. There's plenty to say. We won't say anything too much now. I just hope it all works itself out, and those who need to switch engine, I hope you find something you can use easily. Those who can't switch engine, I hope they sort this, because the worst thing I think that's going to come from this is you're not going to get games review bombed anymore. You'll get games reviewing install bombed, and you could potentially bankrupt someone just because you disagree with their game or you don't like their game. And yeah, I dread to see what that looks like.
Yeah, I think it's a disaster for them, and I think they'll probably suffer the consequences pretty rapidly.
Yeah, hopefully there is a backtrack, and it doesn't end up bad. But hey, I dare say that's an ongoing story that we will cover over the coming weeks. But talking of coming weeks, video games, Stu.
Yeah.
What have you been playing in the previous weeks to the coming weeks?
What a great segue. Ooh. Yeah.
And which games are you playing that other people can buy but not install?
Buy but not install. Yeah.
Yeah, because that's how it's got to work now, you see. You've got to tell everyone about the game so they know if it would have been good or not.
Yeah. Well, you can buy, as of yesterday, as time of recording, released on the 14th of September, you can buy, not sure if you can install, a game called AK-xolotl, which is spelled like AK, as in, I think, AK-47, -xolotl. Yeah.
I've just got the pun.
Yeah, there you go. So, successful pun from the developers there. So, so it's a kind of, Enter the Gungeon, Binding of Isaac-y kind of, roguelike shooter. Done in a slightly unusual kind of style. It's done in a kind of, it looks like Zelda, and you fight cute little fluffy things and blow them apart. So, I mean, you're a cute little fluffy thing yourself, and I think the rules state that if you are cute and fluffy, you are allowed to destroy other things that are cute and fluffy. I think that's how the universe works. You go around, blow stuff up, you shoot things with guns, you get different types of guns, you get different buffs. It's got a little bit of a different wrinkle to it than the other games in its genre by, that cuteness killing thing, but also that you discover like little creatures along the way and you have to raise them, although that doesn't take a lot of effort. And you have a kind of little hub world before you start off where you can manage your perks and you can improve your creatures that give you buffs and stuff like that, which, it's not a really deep mechanic, but it's a decent one. It's a little bit reminiscent of a pared down version of the Greek one.
Hades?
Yes, that's the one. Bloody hell.
One of the most popular games of all time, Stu.
Dude, honestly, my head. Absolutely terrible. So yeah. Oh dear. But yes, yeah. So a little bit like Hades kind of thing. So yeah, they've clearly had a bit of influence there, but yeah, mechanically it's good. It's fairly interesting. It's slightly slower and a little more tactical than, for example, Enter the Gungeon. Other than that, it's exactly what you'd expect. So it's decent enough. It doesn't do anything particularly new or particularly exciting. It's very solid though. It looks attractive, and played it for a couple of hours, and it's pretty decent. If you're into that sort of thing, I think you probably won't be disappointed.
And it's going to introduce people to the world of the Exotl, which is an amazing little creature. Look at his cute little face.
I know.
They have cute little faces, and if I was the WWF, the people for preserving animal life and that, not the wrestling company from the 80s. If I was the WWF, get rid of the panda. No one cares about the panda anymore. It's old hat, right? Put that on the front because look at his little face.
I know. Pandas are a joke now. Pandas are just a...
Not red pandas though. They're not actually pandas, and they're still the cutest.
Oh yeah.
But look,
no,
look at his little face.
The black and white useless ones.
Hair.
I know. They're amazing. Yeah, they're amazing. You get little axolotl facts as you're playing as well, like in the cutscenes. Yeah, load screens. I mean, yeah.
I've been playing a bit of it, and yeah, it's the game's fine. The game's fine. It's really good. It's one I don't mind popping on now and again. But just look at his little face. And I'm not even on about their version of it. I've got an actual pictures of an axolotl up, and they're just like, oh my god, I want one.
They are fantastic. They are. Yeah.
Right, but everyone loves them because they're cute. The right will love them because they're clearly, white. So it's a win-win. Everyone wants them because they're cute. The right win like them. It's an animal we can all get behind.
Carries a massive gun that it shouldn't have. Yeah, it's very.
Yeah, don't give them guns. Otherwise, Susie is hard and have to write a thing about them.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. So.
Did you get that reference, by the way?
No, but I was moving swiftly on as to not embarrass myself.
Eddie Izzard done a bit about monkeys with guns.
Oh.
I want to say Circle when they was Eddie Izzard still, and they did Circle. Done a bit about monkeys with guns. They can update it to axolotls with AK-47s.
Yeah, axolotls with AKs. Yeah, it works. You see, it's great.
There you go.
So, other than that game, what have you been playing?
Right, we should just clarify. It is a Unity game. This is something we're going to have to start doing, I think, at the moment. It is a Unity game built in Unity 4. But anyway, I've been playing, first of all, BIT.TRIP Rerunner. Now, BIT.TRIP Runner is one of those games that feels like it was around in the 70s and the 80s, but I don't think it ever was.
Not quite, no.
No, but it feels like it was, and I know that's how it's been sort of designed to be, like a throwback to those games. And it's the one, like BIT.TRIP Runner, because there's loads of BIT.TRIP games, is the one where you literally run from left to right. It's an auto runner. You jump, you slide, you avoid, and you get points for how well you do. It's been remastered, redone, and it's really, really good. If you like BIT.TRIP Runner, it's BIT.TRIP Runner, and that's brilliant. But what this has got that made me intrigued and made me want it is that it has plus Runner Maker, which is I forgot what the Mario game's called now. Super Mario Maker clone, essentially, to make your own BIT.TRIP Runner levels. And I'm all for that. As long as you bring out a main game and you can go, look, here's our engine, here's our tools that we use to make the game, so off you go and do it yourself, then yeah, I'm all for more of that. Allow the community to build things that they want to do. Just do your curation, support it, and allow the game to live on without you having to spend time doing DLC. And bit-mill things, it's brilliant. And I've played a couple of levels that have been made, but I'm assuming by developers, it's not technically out yet. And they've been fun, really well-made levels. You can see I had a little play with the builder, and yeah, I'm not very good at it, but it's intuitive to use, and I can see people getting behind it really well. And it's just, a ton of fun to play still. I've always liked the BIT.TRIP games because they are great just to pick up, play for 5-10 minutes and move on, or if you really wanted to, bury an hour, bury 2 hours into it, just trying to perfect those scores and get up the leaderboards. But yeah, I really, really enjoyed it. The maker stuff is absolutely brilliant. There's like nice little extras like a gallery in there. Like it's got like nods to the original and things like that. Runs perfectly on Steam Deck, which is again always a bonus. And you can download and install this one as many times as you want because it's Unreal Engine 5.
Yeah, well, that is important. Yeah, that sounds all right. Hopefully it's at the right price, because even with the addition of the maker, I'm not sure it's, I always I'm on the fence about like remasters / remakes. It's okay if they kind of completely overhaul things and take them in a different, not a different direction, but they expand things quite significantly. But if it's just the old game that's a bit better looking with a couple of additions, I'm kind of like, well, I'm not laying down money for that. The original looks, perfectly fine.
So on that, just to clarify, there are new mechanics that you unlock as you go along. So there's things like using shields and stuff like that to block oncoming fire or fireballs or whatever. So it feels different enough to the original. It doesn't just feel like a reskin, which is, to their credit, it feels... I'm surprised they haven't called it something else to make it a sequel, in all fairness, because it could be a sequel. Because there's enough different in it. But it nods a lot. There's a lot of nods to the original that they see it more as a reboot, remake. But yeah, price is important. If this comes out for like 30 quid, then I don't see worth picking up over the original. If this comes in at that £10 to £15 price point or something like that, then yeah, I think it's a great pickup, especially if you enjoy making your own levels and stuff like that as well, because that engine, again, I'm all for that. I love the idea of giving to the community, but without being lazy about it, and this ticks all those boxes. I just don't know the price yet, unfortunately.
Yeah, no problem, man. Yeah, cool. We could have called it BIT.TRIP Sprinter or something and got away with that. But there we go. Yeah. Fair enough.
Yeah. So moving on.
Yeah, so the next one I've been playing is just a little one, which is Starfield, which I mentioned last week in just talking about it from a technical perspective. But I've been playing it for I think I got about 12 hours in game now, so I feel like qualified to talk about it a little bit more. And it's a Bethesda, as we said last week, a Bethesda game. It's funny because the way that it's landed, some people really don't know how to take it, and I think there's a lot of, it's a Western RPG, but when we say Western RPG, we very often mean it's an American RPG, and it's an American-ass American RPG of a Bethesda-ass Bethesda RPG, and so it's basically their game purely distilled, and I think some of the people in the US who were like, they kind of maybe didn't cotton onto Elite Dangerous because that's from the Micros era and didn't really get a big foothold in America. Then they had Wing Commander, which is pretty puddle thin, and they've got Star Citizen not being what they want it to be, and you feel like it was queued up to be like, oh, another one that could fill this, like it does everything in space kind of things that it isn't, because it definitely isn't that. It is just, it's Elder Scrolls in space. It's, it's Skyrim in space. And that really just describes it, like, in total. And if you like that idea, you'll like it. And if you don't like that idea, you won't like it. And, it does add a couple of, things like you go in a spaceship and you can control the spaceship and stuff. But the controls of the spaceship are kind of generic enough for it to be, well, you could be on the back of a dragon. It's just that it's just got a Starfield as the background. Starfield. I'm really. It sounds like I'm not enjoying it. I'm really enjoying it because I kind of thought that's what it would be, and that's what it is. And the problem a lot of people will have as well on top of that is, if you've carried on playing Skyrim, if you enjoyed the Fallout games, if you did all of this and engaged with their content, you might be like, well, where's their next step? Because it's not it's not expanding what they do. It's broadening it. So every system is more complex and bigger, but it hasn't expanded it. There's nothing in there that's kind of really more intelligent or more sophisticated or more advanced than things, or only the graphics, obviously, which are really, really nice. Yeah, it doesn't really take the genre forward or even their own genre forward. It's just more of the same and a lot more of the same. But to the degree where if you like that and you like that size of game and you want to be immersed in it in that way, then you're going to love it. Now, the only thing, it's really as simple as that. You don't really have to say much more about it. It's a very simple game, really, in terms of, if you know them and you know Bethesda, you know what it is. But the only criticism, because I'm not going to criticise the bugs because there aren't many. I'm not going to criticise the performance, even though it's not well optimised. The only thing I will criticise that I don't think will be fixed for a very, very, very long time is the loading. And the loading is abysmal. It's really, really, really bad. Like if you say you're in a spaceport and you're on foot and you want to travel to your ship, then you can sometimes do it on foot, but often you can't because the locations are instance. They're all like separate hubs that have to load.
Yeah.
So that's fine. So you press fast travel to go to your ship. That's a load. Takes a long time. Even on an SSD, 30 seconds as sometimes, sometimes 15, sometimes 30. You do that, okay, I can live with my 15, 20 second load, whatever. You're in the ship, you then go into space. That's another 15, 20 second load. You pick a destination that takes you need your gravity drive to get to, so basically warping to another system. That's another load. And that can be quite a long one because it loads an entire system in. So unless you're on one of the planets and you're doing a little explore, you are often hitting load screens once every 2 or 3 minutes just to get to a place. And each one of them can be a quarter of that duration. And that really, for me, is it's not unacceptable, but you have to be mentally prepared for it.
Are they not disguising that well at all either?
No. It's a completely static load. It's a break to a load screen. It takes I don't know.
See, in Elite Dangerous and No Man's Sky, which are the obvious go-tos there, they mask it by being in like a warp drive animation, so to speak. So at least you still feel you're doing what you should be doing to a degree. You can still look around and stuff like that. No, I get that's almost not forgivable, that.
Yeah, it's almost as if, like you mentioned, it's like they were caught between two stools, that you could go, well, we'll get our load times down to almost nothing and therefore have load screens, or we can accept they're too long and therefore we'll just have a placement screen. Like you say, that it looks like you're in a warp tunnel, but you can do your inventory management because that's low effort on the host machine. But it doesn't even do that. So I suspect they thought that they would have the loads down to such a short amount of time that it wasn't worth coding in anything different. And unfortunately, it hasn't turned out that way. And I don't think it doesn't even pick up better. I mean, my computer doesn't have that kind of fast pipeline where you can just like the PS5 can stream stuff in from the SSD real time. You can't do that on my PC. It doesn't do it on the motherboard. But I don't think even the Series S does it. So it's a real failing. But apart from that, the game is really good. And once you're kind of in you can get to a point where you're like, right, okay, well, I don't really want to zip around too much because it's going to mean too much loading. Let me stay here for a little while and do some of the side quests and collect some items and, get some weapons, do a bit of fighting, stay within this world for a little bit. So you kind of manage your own time with it and then you engage with the loading screens. So there are ways around it, but it is a disappointment. But apart from that, it's a very good game. I really like it, and it's got good writing. It's really interesting and got a good theme underneath it. So, yeah, a funny one, but a good one that needs a lot of really needs a technical injection of it feels like a year underbaked to me.
Which is disappointing for a game that's been in development for 8 years, I want to say.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
yeah, it's a shame because I mean, like when you talk about the loading and stuff, it's regardless of faults on Red Dead Redemption 2, I think it's an okay game. I don't think it's like as good as other people made out. That's just me. But it's one of the most technically impressive games I think I've ever seen in terms of the way the world builds around you, and there's no loading that you don't force. If you go into a property, and every property you can go into, you can walk through the front door, you can go into the various different rooms, and it's all just there. You could, if you go on horseback, for example, from one side of the map to the other, visiting people's homes or whatever, you could do it all without loading. It's only when you fast travel you get loading. As I say with the Spider-Man games, the way you can zip around New York and stuff like that, and there's no loading through the map unless again you force fast travel. To have that forced loading is very, very disappointing, and that's the sort of thing that would put me off playing. Because time's finite and you've only got a little bit of time. So you've got to spend a portion of that waiting and not feeling like it's still part of the game. You're going back to the original Resident Evil now, and that was a long time ago.
Yes, yeah. We'll talk about it next week in terms of world at the moment, but it's not good. It's really not good. There's releasing unfinished, releasing with features missing. The whole thing about AMD and no DLSS in this is an absolute scandal. So we'll go into that as well. But yeah, no, as a game, it's a good game. It's technically inefficient, which is a terrible shame. But other than that, it's good. And I think it's one of those that if you're on the fence, or if you only partially enjoy, or you do enjoy but you're willing to wait, give it at least a year. And there'll be a lot fixed by Bethesda, and there'll be a lot done by the community to resolve all of the problems. It doesn't deserve the scores it's getting because of those technical drops, I would say. I think that people are being very generous to it. But I think in a year's time, it'll be a totally different story. So I'd say sit on your hands and wait for this one.
Mm-hmm. And if you're worried about harming the little guy, it's not using Unity, so Bethesda are fine. You can install that one as many times as you want. Don't, because I dare say it's over 100 gigabytes.
It's nearly 120 gig. Yeah.
There you go. So literally don't keep uninstalling it and reinstalling it like you might do other games to find space. Just if you're going to install it, just keep it there. Because anyway, moving on from broken messes that are Bethesda games. I've been playing one called Nour. Play with your food. Nour, however you want to pronounce that one. Nour, I don't know. But play with your food, which essentially it's an art installation in a game using food. So you got loads of little different levels, like these vignettes. You can go through all of them. And each vignette is different types of food presented in different ways. You press buttons, you play with that food, you move the camera around, you take pictures, you can make the food fly, pause it, take a picture of the food flying. It's basically food porn, the game.
Nice.
And like there's one, like an early one, because one thing to say is don't talk about too many of them because it's about discovery. But one of the very early levels is like you get to build a burger, and basically whatever button you press decides what goes on the burger. So you can go like bun, patty, cheese, bacon, patty, cheese, bacon, patty, and build it up. And it's got all real physics and that. And then you can press other buttons that manipulate the scene. And so you can make like a magnet, that's a food magnet that drags the food everywhere or off, pushes the food in wild directions, and you can then sort of like change like different special skills. So you can say, I want to use a splash effect or a magnet effect or gravity and stuff like that, and you just mess with it, and visually it looks really nice. It doesn't quite look Uncanny Valley real, but it doesn't look super computer graphics either. It's in between without looking weird. So they've nailed the art style of it, and yeah, like it's got some mechanics in it that are actual. So it's just you got there's a mechanic where you can get these effects by keeping beat, by pressing buttons in the right beat. which I would like them an accessibility purpose to turn off and let me just go, just let me do this, because I'm not very good with that sort of thing. But they are a small indie dev, so again, with tiny teams, we do generally forgive accessibility options out the gate if they take them on board. But yeah, if ever, anyone who's ever been sat there and told not to play with their food, play with your food, because it really is just fun. There's not much to say about it other than this is just a utter blast just to piss around with food in various different scenes.
And that's all you need sometimes, isn't it? It's just muck about. Oh, that's good. So is it? Yeah.
No point to it whatsoever.
Yeah.
And that's fine, and that's good, and it's good to have something like that.
It completely is. I love stuff like that you can just jump in and out of, and it just be silly. Yeah, there's a bit. Sounds a bit. Yeah, not like in terms of gameplay, but like thematic. Pastime wise, it sounds a bit like Katamari. It's like, and that's got an end game to it, but it's more of a kind of jump in and be silly kind of a game.
Yeah, it's along the lines of, do you remember we spoke about the ramp?
Yeah.
Last year or the year before, which is just like you get a skateboard ramp and that's it. Or you've got a townscaper where you just build villages and stuff for no reason whatsoever. It's that line of games, and I'm glad we're seeing stuff like this get out there. And yeah, unfortunately it's Unity. So, install it the once and keep it there if you like little time wasters. Stress toys, essentially, these games. It's a tenner. Might be a bit rich for some. But I think it's absolutely fine to have something on that. That's about the right price, I would say. And I think we're going to start, not to use these, I think we're going to start seeing a few of these games maybe bump up in price to cover potential costs as well. Sorry to keep banging on about Unity, but Jesus Christ, it's a mess.
Yep. Well, particularly, it's affects 90% of the type of games we talk about on this podcast.
Yeah.
So it's going to come up. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Sort your shit out, Unity. Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
But yeah, this is really, really good. Install it on your system, leave it there, and just it's brilliant. It's just like, I really enjoy it. Just like messing around. It's a fidget toy in digital form, and I love them.
Nice. Excellent.
So it is only a short one today, because reasons. Nothing bad, just reasons.
Just reasons.
So you know what I'm getting to, Stu. You know where I'm coming. No, you don't. Oh dear.
Oh dear.
See, I'm going to shut up now.
I like to know where you come in, so I can get out of the way, definitely. But on that note, hope you all have a good week ahead. As usual, follow us on all the socials. Check out our content on the website. Join us on Discord if you fancy a chat. And in the meantime, until next week, stay safe and stay sane.